Alright, welcome back to the weekly walk and talk, my friends. Although today we're not going to be doing much walking at all. In fact, we won't be doing any walking. We're just going to be talking. And boy, have I got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about all the mass layoffs that are going on, ChatGPT, which helped me to create this video. Although I'm doing the complete opposite of what it probably expects me to do on this video. We're going to talk about how eggs are killing people, apparently. And of course, I'll always finish with some interesting stories. So we've got all of this to come. So let's probably start with then the tech layoffs that are happening at the moment. And let me grab these statistics here for you. So we've now got IBM announcing 3,900 layoffs, SAP as well out of Germany, another 3,000 layoffs. Asda in the UK, a supermarket, 300 layoffs with 4,000 wage decreases. So these are all the things that are coming at the moment. And as I keep repeating every week that we do these talks, this is just the beginning. We're going to see more and more layoffs as time goes by. So you really just want to be thinking about your situation right now, whether you're single, whether you're a family, whether you've got children, whether you support anyone. And just start thinking about what you're doing for work, how you're earning your income. And just ask the question, how stable is it? Do you think there's any risk with your job, with what you're doing? Maybe you're a small business owner. Are there any risks there with what might be coming? Because this recession is going to be very different to other recessions that we've seen. And the IMF has said 1/3 of the world is going to be in recession this year in 2023. We've got similar reports from a lot of other agencies. Now, personally, I believe that we're already in recession. I believe that most of the world is already in recession right now. So this is just going to become an even larger recession as we go on. But I wanted to tell you something funny that I saw out of the Google layoffs, because it talked about all the different people that are going to be laid off. One group of these people was massage therapists. Yes, Google, I mean, I'm surprised to hear this, and Twitter have some similar job positions, but Google actually hired 27 full-time massage therapists for their staff. Twitter also had some crazy, let me tell you this job title here. And just so you know, this is going to be a very chilled out and relaxed talk today. Twitter had Human Rights Advocacy Enforcement Agent. So that's one. They also had a second assistant to the government liaison, whatever that means. I mean, imagine that whoever is the government liaison, yeah, I can see why they'd need a government liaison, but then having a first assistant to that person. Why do you need a second assistant to a first assistant to someone who's a government liaison? This is the craziness that we are seeing in a lot of these tech companies. And there's all sorts of these other stories coming out about these jobs and how crazy a lot of these jobs are that they had, and now they're starting to lay off these jobs. I mean, this human rights advocacy, whatever title I just said, that was being paid at over $200,000 per year, and apparently they had a number of these positions. It wasn't just one person. But the one that I think is most interesting for all of you to be aware of and to keep on your radar is that Microsoft laid off, or is laying off, 10,000 people. So remember that number, 10,000 people. But at the same time, they're also investing $10 billion into OpenAI, which of course is the parent of ChatGPT. And I thought that was quite interesting, because when you think about that $10 billion divided by 10,000 people, well, it's interesting how much that salary would be offset with the AI, because I've said it a number of times and I'll say it again now. I think that AI is going to displace millions, if not hundreds of millions of jobs. And I don't think it's going to be 20, 30 years like a lot of these people talk about, or even futurists talk about this a lot. I think it's going to happen very, very quickly. I think it's going to take people and companies by surprise just how quickly AI replaces jobs. And I remember back in 2020, they were talking about driving jobs being replaced by 2040. That's 20 years ago from that point. And yet, if we look at the advancement now in driverless vehicles and the technology, it is happening at an accelerated rate month by month. In fact, ChatGPT has just passed a law test. It's just passed a medical examination. And according to the media, it just passed this MBA level examination as well. So this thing is not stupid, it is advancing at a very rapid rate. But the driverless vehicle aspect I think is going to be interesting, because if you think how many people drive as part of their job, well, that won't happen in the future because it will take over those jobs. You'll have driverless vehicles. Now, I do think there'll be certain jobs that are last to go in the driving field, and I think something like heavy goods vehicles or trucking, something like that would be the last to go, because the technology would need to be a lot more advanced than the normal, vehicles, cars on the road technology. Why? Because a truck driver has to, again, it's just my opinion, but they have to be a lot more alert and vigilant, and they're carrying, often dangerous cargo and things like that. So I think these will be some of the last jobs to go. But things like a taxi driver, even an Uber driver, I do think will get displaced by these driverless vehicles in the future. So I think that's why Microsoft is cutting so many staff and they're investing so heavily into the OpenAI software, because this AI software will replace a lot of those jobs. And you saw how the markets have reacted to these layoffs as well across most sectors. In fact, we just saw Tesla go up by almost 11% in its stock price just overnight. And this is why on my sort of spreadsheet, if you're in the private community, you'll understand here. On my spreadsheet and all the stocks and the watch list, that's why I've got a 2.0 on the beta for Tesla, because it's so volatile. A 1.0 on the beta tells you the stock is going to somewhat match the S&P 500 or the index. When you've got a 2.0, this is why you're seeing such massive swings on stocks like Tesla, where it might go down 7% one day, it goes up 6% the next, it goes down 8% the next day, and then overnight we saw it almost 11% increase. And of course that was off the earnings as well. But let's bring this back to Microsoft. Why did Microsoft stock go up when the layoffs are announced? Because employees are one of the biggest expenses of a company. So when you start cutting that expense down, the profitability of the company goes up. So that is why it's not good for the employees, but it's good for the stock price. Now, I actually asked ChatGPT today before I made this video to give me some interesting video topics. And all the topics it came up with were, well, let me just read them out to you. In fact, no, I won't read these out to you because my video is going to get censored. But you can see there's one about DT on here, the widespread distribution and admin of the Vs, the recent stock market highs and potential economic recovery. Now these are completely biased topics so far. Again, the next one I can't use any of these keywords. This is the thing I find completely crazy in today's age. If I go to a non-censored platform, then my view count will drop by probably 90%, because I just know a lot of people won't follow and go over there. But then if I stay on YouTube platform, then I've got to suffer all the censorship. And that, like yesterday's video, as soon as I mentioned the word war in the video, that was it. The video had incredible click-through rate. So a click-through rate is where you see the thumbnail and the title and you click on it. It had close to 18%, which is unheard of. But yeah, and also the view time, so those of you who watched it, was up around 40% on top of other videos. So what this means for the algorithm is to push that video out far and wide because people are interested in the topic. But actually what happened was the video was heavily suppressed, and it said on there, on my analytics, people are just not interested in this video as much as other videos, which of course is absolute nonsense. How could the click-through rate be so high and the view count be so high if people aren't interested in it? Obviously people were interested in it. So this is the dilemma with these videos and with this channel. But the next thing it talked about was ongoing political and social tension in Myanmar. Yeah, I could talk about that, but who would be interested? Not many people. But the last one, I thought, this is great, I can talk about this. The Biden administration proposed immigration reform and the state of the US-Mexico border. Hopefully the video hasn't been flagged for these keywords by the YouTube AI, which trolls the video and gives you the closed captions, by the way. But I thought, this is great. I can definitely talk about this today. But I'm not going to talk about it in regards to the way this left-wing AI wants me to talk about it, which is what it is. It's not neutral as everyone keeps coming out with. It is biased, and it gives us these biased topics. But let me tell you what I thought I'd talk about with this then. Well, firstly, there is now a program in the US for you to sponsor a migrant. So this means for you to sponsor somebody to come to the USA to help cut down on illegal migration. So this is going on at the moment. So rather than having it be illegal migration, they're saying if you sponsor them and you help with lawyers and or attorneys and all these other things, then they'll no longer be illegal or cross illegally, they'll now become legal. And then there's an app as well to help you with this and to help the people crossing with this to actually get across the border easier and faster, and to get registered quicker. So it gives you free access or discounted access, or again, you can sponsor people to actually cross the border so that even if it is an illegal crossing, that they can, when they get in, they can instantly ask for asylum. So I bet ChatGPT didn't have that topic in mind when it suggested that I talk about this. Now, the next thing that once it started giving me some more topics was health. So it started giving me these topics on health and, you know, all these other things. So I looked into a topic today on health, and this one is called "Scientists Warn Eggs Are Causing Thousands of People to Suddenly Form BCs." You can see on screen what that stands for, but I'll spell it out for people who are just listening and not watching. That's BLOOD CLOTS. Okay, so that's what it's saying here. So this was a study conducted by the Cleveland Clinic, and it's talking about, and then there's another study that links to it as well, talking about why this is a good thing at the moment, that eggs are going up in price so much, and that this global bird flu is a wonderful coincidence and fantastic for people's health because it's cutting down on the amount of eggs that people are eating. So I instantly thought maybe they're talking about cholesterol here, something like that. No, it's actually something called choline, CHOLINE, and it's saying that this makes the blood more prone to clotting. And it said it's gotten worse in the last 18 months because people have been eating more eggs in the last 18 months. Yeah, okay, I'll play this game. Okay, so let me get this straight. Egg prices have gone up massively, and yet people have been going out to buy more eggs. Even though inflation has hit people's wallets, they've got less money, but no, people have been going out to buy more eggs at higher prices. Okay, sure, that's the reason. And yet this Google search I just did here says, choline is an essential nutrient that is naturally present in some foods and available as a dietary supplement. The body needs choline to synthesize, I'm not even going to try and pronounce these two words, but they're vital for cell membranes. So again, I don't think I need to tell you here, this is just even more of this crazy campaign, double speak as it were, that keeps coming out all the time. Now, looping back to inflation then, there's just been a new study that's come out this week, and the findings will not surprise you or myself, but because we've been talking about this for a while, but it was in terms of the wealth divide, the wealth gap, and it didn't take into account the billionaire class. It was more what in the UK you would call the lower, middle and upper class. And what it found was that the poorest people in society had lost around £100 per month from their, not their paycheck, but their their disposable income, as it were. And that's probably not even the correct word either. But what people actually spend per month, they've lost £100 from that because of rent increases, food increases, and all the other cost increases. But what's known as the upper class, so these aren't, you know, billionaires or millionaires, they're just the wealthiest people in, say, UK society. These people have actually gained £100 per month. Now, it didn't go into detail, and it's actually £100 to £200 per month. And I just saw another video as well today, which was a lady, and her name is Amy Way to Save. She's on YouTube, and she went and did a grocery challenge, which is similar to what I've actually done in the past, and I'll actually repeat that as well soon. And she was testing this inflation rate that the US government talked about, and where the US government said it was, you know, 10% food inflation. She actually went and tested this, and it was 50%. so 50% food inflation. And this was just on basic staple food items. So she did a $10 grocery challenge. And now it was $15. So within a year, so 12 months. So, I mean, we've known this anyway, that food inflation, I thought, was around 30% or more in the USA. But now she's just done this real life test. And I thought that was interesting because I saw this other article this week. So it's a story about how Brits now and Europeans, because of this high cost of living crisis and the cost to heat our homes, they did this comparison and found that it's now cheaper, get this, how crazy this is, it's now cheaper to go on an all-inclusive holiday package, vacation package for the Americans to Spain than it is to stay home, pay rent, pay food, drinks, heat your home, energy costs and everything else. So they said it was up to £200 cheaper, or €200 cheaper, to take an all-inclusive holiday to Spain. So it was talking about these people that have just been on this all-inclusive package now for 4 or 5 months straight, and they haven't been back, so they obviously didn't own a home, but they haven't been back, their rent ended, their contract ended, and they just went, traveling. And they're saying how a lot of millennials and Gen Z are doing this now. They're just traveling a lot. And that's interesting because just walking around Bangkok and the places that I've been on my travels this month, I have seen a huge amount of people working from their laptops. And they're not hippies like you'd expect with long hair and everything else and huge beards and, all the usual stereotype you would expect with a hippie, which doesn't really exist anymore. These are people that look very smart, respectable, short haircuts like mine, fairly clean shaven most of the time. And they're working from their laptops, and you can see spreadsheets and you can see all sorts of things when you walk past them. So I think this is happening a lot more. And talking of Bangkok, I thought this was interesting. They just put out this emergency warning. Let me just get this up. Yeah, so this was an emergency declaration that they're saying that the pollution levels here in Bangkok now are so deadly that it advised people not to leave their homes and to keep their windows closed. And, so things like I'm doing here, sat on the balcony of my hotel here, of the room that I've got, that this is just a no-go. They say this is extremely dangerous.
Now, people in Bangkok have been advised to work from home and to wear face masks due to the increasing air pollution, and the number of people experiencing pollution-related health problems has significantly increased. The Thailand capital is asking its residents to remain indoors and travel only if it's an emergency.
People being brought to hospital with, at the moment, with heart attacks and strokes and respiratory problems, all because of this pollution. So we're seeing these same patterns, heart attacks, strokes, respiratory problems and all this else. But yeah, it's eggs, it's exercising too hard, it's exercising not enough, it's pollution levels, it's global warming, it's wood burners, it's gas stoves, like the list just goes on and on and on. It's something different in every country, or it's multiple things in each country. I just think it's fascinating that all these things have started happening in the last year and a half. It's quite the coincidence, really. But at least our governments at the moment under the WEF are working on the things that really matter, really important. So a lot of energy is going into age gap love at the moment, a new word for Speedos. Let's just remove the S from that and you'll get the word. So age gap love. And people should be prosecuted in the future for discrimination against this group of people. Crazy the world we are now living in. Right, I'm gonna head in now, get some water, and that is it for me. Take care, God bless you guys, and the next video I'll be back in the studio. All right, take care, bye for now.